This is Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in Sacramento, our Capital Bureau. We are joined by Judy Lin. You know her well. She was at the AP for years, and now she is a reporter at CalMatters, calmatters.org. If you love long-form reporting, you got to read this publication. It is outstanding. And congratulations on your new job.
Thank you so much.
I'm really excited for you, especially as a reader of the publication. And I want to speak out one of your articles that came out recently, The Price of Education. I love that play on words because you don't know where you're going to go with the title. And I want to get a sense from you, what's your perception? What did your reporting tell us about how California is spending its public dollars for public education?
Yeah. Well, spending is definitely up. During the recession, it was devastated. You had tens of thousands of teachers laid off or at least received pink slips.
Right.
So created a lot of angst. And that drove in large part to the tax increase of 2012. It was championed by Jerry Brown, known as Prop 30.
Right.
And so now with the recession and that extra money, we're back up to a level that is what it should be. If you look at the chart, it keeps going up.
Right.
And so that's a great relief for public schools.
So we look at 2011, arguably kind of the trough, the bottom. And from that bottom point, you tell us that spending is up about 50%. We're now spending close to $15,000 per pupil, which seems like a great number. But if we compare ourselves to our friends in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, we're not close.
No, we're still in that bottom third rung when it comes to per pupil spending. We just are not there. We're moving up, but we're still, if you think about California as the largest, most populous state, we're definitely not there.
At the same time, we know that a lot of that funding is as a result of Prop 30. You said it. The voters were generous in 2012. They passed Prop 30. Now, Prop 30 had two elements to it. It had the sales tax increase, and it had the increase on, we'll call it the wealthiest of Californians. The sales tax increase is set to expire this year, I believe. The one on the wealthiest Californians in a few years. What does your reporting tell you about whether we're going to see an extension of both, either, or neither?
Yes. So right now there's a coalition of education groups and healthcare groups, and they are out collecting signatures. They hope to pass on the November ballot.
This November.
This November, we'll be voting on taxes again for schools and the rest of the budget. And it only pertains to the wealthy. They kept the wealthy, but not the sales tax.
Now, what about the governor on this? Because the governor has been very clear this was a one-shot deal. When he got elected in 2010, he said, if I want a tax increase, I'm going to you, the voters. And he did, and the voters said yes. I mean, arguably, he could go back again. I mean, he wouldn't be breaking that promise. Do you think he'd be willing to at least endorse a continuation through, I guess it's 2030, on the tax for the wealthiest?
Yeah, he has not indicated. There have been maneuvers by the coalition to make the extension appealing to him. I think their thought is at best he will abstain, at worst abstain, and at best endorse.
So what do you think? I mean, you know the governor, you've met with him. What's your sense? Again, no inside information, not a thing off the record, but do you have a sense of where he is?
The way he has articulated it is that he crafted it as a temporary tax. And if you think about it, he's been championing other issues. If you look to the November ballot, he has criminal justice on his mind. So it's hard to say.
So let's talk about what would happen under various scenarios. You talked about it in your article. If there is no extension and we hit a recession, the amount we would spend would be about at the level we spend next year in 2019. But if there is an extension and no recession, it would be 10 to 12 billion more.
Yes.
Is that significant? From 71 billion to 83 billion?
Yes, very much so. if you think about inflation, just keeping qualified teachers, all of that takes money. There's been a big push toward Common Core, and that's requiring schools to invest a lot in new technologies.
I want to talk to you about teachers, Judy, because here we are coming off of all those pink slips. And now what I am hearing up and down the state as I travel and speak with school board members, they are very concerned about a teacher shortage. A shortage of teachers, and you talked about this in your article. You know, we're providing them with raises, we're providing bonuses, but yet we are at serious risk of a teacher shortage in California.
Yeah, and that it is a challenge. I think that you'll see in this legislative cycle some lawmakers try to tackle that issue. And the Legislative Analyst's Office, they're the nonpartisan budget analysts, they are pointing out a acute shortage of math and science teachers. That's been a perennial problem, and that's an opportunity for the legislature to address.
But the flip side is, look, if we have more money, does all this money need to go to teachers, or a majority of it? What about money in the classroom? What about money for iPads? What about money for schools that need new air conditioning or new athletic fields? It feels like there's a tremendous tension now between salaries and the desire to avoid a shortage, and then 21st century education.
Yeah, if you look, I guess I would use Jerry Brown's plan. When he did funding reform, he basically said, I want to direct more money to the disadvantaged students, the poor, English learners, and foster children.
Can we talk about LCFF? Because that is a revolution.
Yes.
It really is. The way we are funding education, no more not no more, but almost no more categoricals. And local districts are now able to decide how they want to spend their money. What have you learned on the trail in terms of what districts are doing? Have you had a sense through your reporting?
Very much. They are trying to. I think what's been happening is that they have new freedom that they have never known, to be freed from these categorical requirements. So that in itself is a big
relief.
Yes,
relief.
It's also a challenge when you suddenly are at the control of your own car, and that's been a learning curve.
And you mentioned the goal of LCFF, foster kids, economically disadvantaged, English language learners. I want to zero in on the economically disadvantaged, because we saw the first results come out for the Common Core test. We'll just call it the Common Core test. We can look at ethnicity, that's fine, but we could also look at economically disadvantaged, and those numbers were frightening.
Yes.
I mean, I know it was the first time out. Judy, I mean, they were just awful.
Yeah.
What does that say to you?
It says that maybe Brown is on to something.
Right, well stated. Right.
In reaching, in trying to direct more money. At the same time, he is a big proponent of local control. So he is giving the districts and the school principals latitude in figuring out how to use that money. And if they feel like that it has to be it has to be teachers, then so be it. He's not prescriptive.
I had to ask you about Common Core. So through my work, I'm lucky that I get to go to various state capitals and interview state legislators in various state capitals. You say the word Common Core in some of our sister state capitals, it's as if you said, Lucifer and every Dante's Inferno, member coming down. I don't feel that in California. Maybe I'm missing something. What do you hear about Common Core?
That's exactly right. We have not politicized Common Core in California, and I think that is to Jerry Brown's credit. He embraced Common Core. He got the teachers' unions to embrace Common Core, which was a big move, and then he also did not tie it to teacher evaluation.
Which is a big issue. You'll come back?
Yeah.
She is Judy Lin. She is with the online publication CalMatters.org. Check it out. I'm Brad Pomerance in Sacramento, local edition.